What's up, everybody? It is the Sparking Neo Warrior here, and this will be the first video where I'm actually narrating. And if anybody's seen the post that I made a couple hours ago, I basically talked about in the community post on how, just reach, well, I'm about 4 subscribers away from 500 subscribers, which I appreciate a lot. And, I kind of talked about in that community post on how, this channel is not necessarily a channel where I want to narrate videos. I want it to just be a channel where we focus on Sparking Zero content, and basically that's it. Obviously I get a lot of requested videos, and I do a lot of requested videos, or just random matches, online matches, or custom battles and stuff like that. So but I thought, since I'm so close to 500 subscribers, which is definitely a huge milestone, obviously that's half 1,000 subscribers, I thought about kind of doing a video where I, develop a more personal relationship with some of you guys, and I kind of talk about, the history of this channel, and I talk about, Sparking Zero as a game, because obviously that's what this channel is focused about, and I talk about, what Sparking Zero could do to improve itself, and basically what I want to see from Sparking Zero going forward. And I also want to learn a lot about you guys as well. So after the video, I would really appreciate if you guys just share, some history as a Dragon Ball, some of your history as a Dragon Ball fan, in terms of like how you guys became a Dragon Ball fan, maybe your favorite fight in the entire franchise of Dragon Ball, maybe your favorite Dragon Ball show, favorite Dragon Ball game, just anything Dragon Ball. And I thought I might also mention as well, this will not be like something that I usually do, because I want this channel to just really stay Sparking Zero based. I don't want to do too much narration videos. But I thought, as I just said, since I'm approaching 500 subscribers, which I appreciate so much, I thought, why not get a little bit closer with you guys, and get a little bit more personal with you guys, and share some facts about me, and most importantly, talk about Sparking Zero, because that's what this channel is about. So anyways, enough with that long intro. While I'm talking, I'm gonna be playing just some one-on-one battles with the computer, and as you guys know, a little patch came out today where you guys will have to look up the patch notes to figure out what's all in it. But I know one of the main things that's in the patch notes that everybody is enjoying is the CPU difficulty, which I made a video about a couple hours ago. But the CPU difficulty has been increased from Super to Ultra, and I'm not gonna lie, it has definitely made the CPU a little bit more difficult to fight, which is perfect, because since I get a lot of requested battles, it will make those battles a lot more interesting. So anyways, I'm not good with multitasking, so I'm probably gonna get my butt kicked as I'm talking, or I might sound a little bit distracted as I'm fighting, so please forgive me, guys. So let's just see, who do we want to fight here? These are probably going to be, just some random battles, because these battles aren't necessarily the focus. So let's see. Guess we go with Dragon Ball Z Broly. Sorry about that, guys. I had to make a quick edit to the video. So but anyway, so as I was just mentioning, Sparking Zero did get a little update today, and it got, some stuff in the game got patched, and I made a video earlier, but the CPU's difficulty actually did get raised a little bit. Well, actually got raised to a level higher than Super, because originally Super was the highest difficulty, but now the highest difficulty is Ultra, which is pretty good, because it'll make everyone's requested battles a lot more interesting to do, because obviously the CPU can get really predictable at times. So if you guys are interested in seeing what my thoughts on the CPU, having the CPU, on Ultra, you can check out the video I did later, and I pinned my comment explaining what I feel about it, how I feel about it. So anyways, let's get on to some of these topics. Because I am a little bit distracted with narrating, I might get beat up a little bit, especially since the CPU is at its highest difficulty. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, Sparking Zero's history. I want to talk about how I feel about Sparking Zero, and the history of the Budokai franchise as a whole, and I would love for you guys to, you know, comment down below how you guys feel about Sparking Zero, and what is your favorite Dragon Ball game and stuff like that. And of course, I want to talk about my history as a Dragon Ball fan and how I became a Dragon Ball fan. So, anyways, obviously, guys, Sparking Zero is, technically Budokai Tenkaichi 4, but in a way, the developers kind of dropped the ball with this game. It hasn't been out that long yet. This year will make October of this year will make 2 years, but I don't know if everybody remember, but when this game was in the process of coming out, the developers were promoting the game like every other month with trailers and character drops and stuff like that, and they were revealing a lot of stuff to us. But it's like when the game came out, an entirely different team took over, and the game just stopped getting promoted. I mean, look at the first season pass. When we got the first what do you call it? The Dragon Ball superhero movie DLC as the first DLC last year. I'm not gonna say it was lackluster, but we didn't get any more story mode episode battles. We didn't get any what if battles. We didn't get a new stage, which is very unfortunate. And then when we got Daima Pack 1, you guys seen how lackluster Daima Pack 1 was. Once again, we didn't get any more what if battles, no more episode battles. We didn't get a new stage. And you guys, I don't know if you guys remember, but Daima Pack 1 came out in April, and Daima Pack 2, which was the last DLC to be released for this game, came out in September.
Come back after you've trained.
So that's about 5 months of no content. And it's just really unfortunate because within that 5 months time, the game was just going into a very, very bad state. So, I say all that to say it's very clear that the developers that was promoting this game when it first came out or when it was releasing cannot be the same developers, post-launch. Because it's like they just didn't care anymore. I thought Broly was going to be a little bit harder to face. Usually he is when I'm facing him, like, without narrating or anything like that. But it's like the developers didn't care anymore, and in a way it's sad because this is supposed to be the biggest Dragon Ball game ever, guys. Like, even if you don't play Dragon Ball games, but you watch Dragon Ball games, or even if you do play Dragon Ball games, but the Budokai series might not be your favorite series of Dragon Ball games, everybody knows that Budokai Tenkaichi 1, 2, and 3, especially 3, were some of the most famous games back in the day in the early 2000s. And even to this day, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is hailed as the best Dragon Ball game of all time, and it has every reason to hold that title. So when Budokai 4, which is, of course, Sparking Zero, when it got revealed in 2023, everybody had high hopes. And I'm one of those people that had high hopes for this game. I'm a huge, I know everybody is that. That's why we have 500 subscribers on this channel, which I greatly appreciate, because we all are huge Dragon Ball fans. Whether you have this game or not, hold on, let's see who we're gonna pick right quick. Let's do Teen Gohan, and let's do like I said, these battles are going to be really, really random. Let's do him against his grandfather. But whether you have this game or not, let me see and make sure everything is right. What was I saying? Whether you have this game or not, obviously you're a Dragon Ball fan if you're subscribed to the channel and watching it. So I say all that to say it's just very unfortunate because in a way this game did not necessarily live up to the hype, and you can tell that the game was rushed. For example, if you go to Vegeta's story mode and custom battle, it literally stops at the Majin Buu saga, which sucks because he does have some very significant battles in Dragon Ball Super. If you look at the stages for this game, it took almost a year just for us to get one new stage, which was the Daima, the first Demon Realm. which literally sucks because the game was released with 12 stages. And in my opinion, if you want to release a Dragon Ball game with 12 stages, that's cool. But I think it's not cool. But what I'm saying is that it's very weird to release a Dragon Ball game without Kami's Lookout, without the Glacier stage, um, and a couple of other very significant stages. I can't really think right now because I'm trying to do this battle. But I'm saying all that to say, you can tell that this game was not done cooking when it was released. And the reason why I say that is because, I don't know if you guys remember, but, for people like me that pre-ordered the game a little bit early, you were able to get this October 8th of 2024. But for the rest of the world, you got the game October 11th of 2024. And if you guys remember, that's the day that the first episode of Daima came out. So unfortunately, Bandai was forced to release this game early, to go alongside the release of the first episode of Daima. So, unless you've been living under a rock, obviously at the huge Dragon Ball event that took place in Japan on Sunday for them, Saturday for us if you live over here in the US. But if you've been paying attention to that event, I think the CPU is about to beat me because how distracted I am. But if you've been paying attention to that event, you guys will know that we're getting a massive, massive DLC this year. Unfortunately, it's in the summer and they didn't specify which month, so it could be June, July, August, or September. And knowing how Bandai is, it could be delayed, extremely delayed, which I hope is not. But we'll try to win this beam clash right quick. Probably can't win a beam clash if I'm too distracted. Yeah. So I just lost the match, guys. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm talking about the new DLC that's coming out later this year. So if you guys have been paying attention, there's a new massive DLC coming to Sparking Zero, and we got characters like Super Saiyan Bardock. It was 9 characters in total that they showed. They did mention that was just a teaser of what's to come. We got Super Saiyan Bardock, Super 17. We got the Devil Man. We got General Tao. We got who was the rest? Champa. We have the female henchman that was with the female sidekick that was with Bojack. I'm going to butcher her name, so I'm not even going to bother saying it. And we got Grandpa Gohan. We got 9 characters in total. I might have already mentioned Super Saiyan Bardock. And that's cool. And they did say that was just a teaser of the DLC. So I'm hoping that more characters are coming. But my whole thing is that, and they did say that a new mode is coming as well with some new stages. It said it had an S on stages as in plural. So everybody is hoping that means we're getting more than one stage. But I'm saying all that to say, even though we have this huge update coming and you see them adding characters back that was in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, it just goes to show that the game was not finished. Because we're getting characters that was already in the previous game 17 years ago now. And don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for what's to come, but it's just for us to be waiting all the way until the summer for this new update. I would really, really hope that this update lives up to it. I'm happy that we're getting new characters. I do hope we get Nova Shenron and Ice Shenron because everybody knows how GT is always super lackluster in the games. But I really, really think that they should add more to the episode battles. I was just talking to my brother the other day, and I was telling him, Sparking Zero has so much potential doing episode battles. And I shared with him a possible what if that they could have did, but if they were smart and they were adding, episode battles with the Daima DLCs last year, we could have got a what if battle where, Goku and Vegeta, when they were in their mini forms, they could have used the fusion bugs and Daima, and they could have fused to a Super Saiyan 3 Vegito, a Super Saiyan 3 mini Vegito against Goma, or they could have did a what if where Neva
Neva helped Vegeta reach Super Saiyan 4 as well. We could have had a mini Super Saiyan 4, and then he could have went adult Super Saiyan 4 as well. So these are things that the developers could have did, but instead they chose to be lazy. And I understand that that is a lot of work, but it also would have brought them a lot of money. And we also have to take it. We also have to remember the fact that you know the gap between Daima DLC 1 and 2 is 5 months. So they had more than enough time to work on that stuff, yet they chose not to. And just speaking of the developers being lazy, and keep in mind, guys, I'm thankful for everything that we get in this game. I love this game. As much hate as this game gets, I've been playing this game since early release, October 8th of 2024. If I didn't love this game, I wouldn't have all of you guys, which is 500 subscribers in total. I have a whole YouTube page dedicated to this game, and I love this game so much, which is the reason why, I'm doing my first narrated video today, talking to all of you guys on a more personal level. But what I was basically getting at is that, the developers are extremely lazy. Extremely lazy. And if you look at that gap between Diamond Pack 1 and Diamond Pack 2, which as I mentioned earlier, was a 5-month gap, there's no way in the world we shouldn't have got the beautiful transformation sequences of Goku going from Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, Kakarot did it because Kakarot is a more story-based game. But the Spark and Zero, or the Budokai franchise, I should say, is known for its multiple transformations. I know Diamond Pack 2 came out 3 months ago now in September 2025, but there's no way that Adult Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Adult Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku should be standalone characters. It just does not make sense. Even Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku, there's no way that Mini Goku from Daima goes from Super Saiyan 1 straight to 4. It was so lazy that they did not give us a Super Saiyan 3 for him to go into 4. And what makes it worse is that I believe that the whole first season pass said 20. What did it say? It's either said under 30 characters or over 20 something characters. And obviously you guys know that this is a franchise that count transformations as characters. But when we counted every character that we got in the season pass, it was either, I can't remember, but I remember thinking about it. I remember talking to somebody about this a couple months ago, but the number of characters we got was a little under the number that they set for certain characters that was supposed to be in the DLC, if that makes sense. So that just goes to show we could have got the Tamagamis, we could have got Super Saiyan 2 and 3 Mini Goku, and we could have got, base form adult Goku and base form adult Vegeta from Daima. Because that's the whole point of these Dragon Ball games. I mean, that's the whole point of, the Budokai franchise. We want to be able to start in our base forms and go from either Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, 4, or God, Ultra Instinct, or, whatever character in the franchise has a transformable state. We want to be able to start in the base form as that character or have the option to choose that form.
Not bad.
So it's just really unfortunate, guys. And where I'm getting at with all of this is that, I am thankful for this game, but the sad truth is that the developers are lazy. And I think the problem in today's time is that, we're in a different time frame now. Back in the day, during the times of PlayStation 2, during the times of Budokai Tenkaichi 3, there wasn't, well, let's see who we want to fight right quick. Let's do God of Destruction Topo. But there wasn't any online play. In this day and age, they're constantly focusing on improving the online play, and they forget about the single players. As of today, we finally just got the new patch, a mode for single players. And as you guys know, I'm a huge advocate for single play. That's really what my channel is. Sometimes I'll play online a lot, but most of my content is single player content. We just got Mission 100, which is a single player mode that was brought back from BT3, which I'm super thankful for, but it should have been in the game from the beginning.
You guys know I spend a lot of time on Custom Battle, and you know, that's a good single player mode, but even Custom Battle is a bit lackluster, and it takes a long time. That's why, you know, for people that request Custom Battle, it takes a while. You know, I'm busy with work sometimes. You know, sometimes I'm getting requested battles out. I also have other YouTube accounts, you know, for other gaming content that I do. You know, for example, I'm a huge dinosaur fan, huge Jurassic Park fan. So I have another YouTube account where you know, I post Jurassic World Evolution content, and Jurassic World Evolution is obviously a Jurassic Park simulator game. So I'm saying all that to say, you know, going back to custom battle or just going back to single player modes, the games of this day and age, you know, they just don't have the love poured into it like the older games did. You know, the older games didn't necessarily rely on online mode too much, so they had no choice but to pour their heart out and pour most of their love into single player content. You know, not everybody enjoys getting online, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I love to get online sometimes and grind and stuff like that, but my goal is to not spend every second on Sparking Zero online, especially with how toxic the community can be, because there's still no penalties for rage quitters online. I feel like for rage quitters, you should not be able to hop online after you rage quit for like a week or something like that, because rage quitters are able to unplug their game or do something to their game when they lose and maybe find another online match, and it sucks for the people that's actually online trying to grind, you know, through rank mode or single player mode. So you know, that just really sucks, and I know I'm getting the crap beat out of me. But I know it seems like I've been talking, you know, well, saying a lot of negative stuff about Sparking Zero, but that's not really the case. I really just I wanted to start this video off stating the problems with, oh yeah, I just lost. But stating the problems with Sparking Zero, but I guess I can talk a little bit more on what Sparking Zero does good. I'm pretty sure there's lots of videos like that out on YouTube, so I won't spend too much time talking about it. But you know, obviously Sparking Zero is a beautiful game. It's without a doubt the most beautiful, aesthetically, you know, pleasing Dragon Ball game out there. And in my opinion, the animations in Sparking Zero and the models do look better than the models in Kakarot. And I'm willing to debate that with anyone. But, you know, it does do a lot of stuff good. Obviously, you know, the roster is pretty good. It's missing some, you know, some very important characters that we are getting back. Like, for example, Pikkon. You know, we are getting Pikkon in the new DLC later this year. You know, it definitely shouldn't have been released without Super 17, but I guess it is what it is. But it is missing some essential characters in the game, but it does do a lot of stuff good. You know, the what if battles were very, very cool. I wish they would have expanded upon it more. Let's see, who do we want to pick right quick? Let's pick our character so we don't get too distracted. I feel like I've only been playing with Saiyan, so let's try something different and play with Krillin.
Looks like it's mine.
Let me see, what outfit do we want to choose? Guess we choose this Krillin. And we're going to do maybe Krillin versus, let's do Krillin versus Future Gohan. I like to put items on myself and the CPU when I'm doing fights. Hopefully the CPU transforms too. But anyways,
but to take action.
We were talking about what Sparking Zero does good. I was basically saying, you know, the what if battles was definitely a cool mechanic, and I wish they would, you know, expanded upon it more. Custom battle is pretty cool because it gives people the opportunity to, you know, obviously create your own stories. I just think it needs a lot of work, especially when it's time to choose dialogue for the characters. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys play custom battle, but when it's time to choose dialogue, oh man, it could definitely be a huge headache. But you know, I really do love this game. It's my favorite Dragon Ball game. I don't mind sharing my age with you guys, but I'll be 25 this year, so I didn't necessarily grow up playing the Budokai franchise. I got it maybe 6 years after Budokai 3 came out, but I'm aware of how huge that game was. So it's unfortunate that the developers, I feel like the developers basically just kind of used the name of Budokai 4 to get this game famous, but it didn't necessarily live up to the hype, and that's just very unfortunate because, you know, Gohan is literally whooping my butt. But everybody is a fan of Budokai Tenkaichi 4, and you know, the problem with games these days is that they're always working on the next Dragon Ball game, and they won't worry about the Dragon Ball game that just recently came out. You know, I'm happy that this game is getting expanded upon and getting more DLC content, but as I said earlier, waiting all the way to the summer, possibly July, August, or September, it's just not good for this game with the state that it's in. You know, this game is screaming for content, and as I was just saying, you know, I love this game. You know, I try to play it as much as I can when I'm not busy with other things, whether it's work or just other things going on in my life, or maybe other games. But regardless of the hate that it gets, you know, I love playing it. You know, I'm thankful for all of you guys. I'm thankful for 500 subscribers. I'm thankful to be able to, you know, get requested battles all the time. I usually make community posts about the requested battles, and I always share with you guys, you know, if you don't see a requested battle, it doesn't mean that I haven't done it. It doesn't mean that I haven't seen it. You know, I try to post all requested battles. So if you don't see it, that doesn't mean that I'm not doing it. It's just, it's not posted yet. But I say all that to say that, you know, if it weren't for you guys, I would definitely still, well, I would still play this game if I didn't have a channel. But if it weren't for you guys, I probably wouldn't be as invested. And I blame that on the developers. You know, as much as I love this game and love the Dragon Ball franchise as a whole in terms of the anime, the manga, and the games, when we're talking about this game specifically, the developers have let us down in certain aspects. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Especially with the lack of single-player content. So with all of that being said, and speaking, you know, just of single-player content, as far as them adding Mission 100 mode today, I'm thinking about maybe narrating Mission 100 mode. As I said in the beginning of this video, I don't want this to become a channel where I'm doing a lot of narration. I want it to just solely focus on Sparking Zero, and I don't want the topics to differ off into other things. But if we get modes like Mission 100 and stuff like that, and other nice single-player modes, I think I will narrate those modes as I do like playthroughs of them. I feel like you guys would appreciate that, and I feel like, you know, it'll make maybe 20+ minute videos a bit more interesting to watch if there's some narration to put it like that. So when I start uploading the Mission 100 videos, it may have some narration to it. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know yet. But anyways, I feel like we talked enough about Sparking Zero. I guess some things I could add. You know, I'm really hoping that GT gets expanded upon in this game. I'm hoping Nova and Ice Shenron come to me. I'm a huge fan of GT. You know, obviously it's lackluster in a lot of ways, but I do love GT. I love, if you pay attention to this channel a lot, you guys will know I'm a huge fan of Super Saiyan 4. Like, that's my all-time favorite transformation, my favorite form of Goku and Vegeta, and I was stoked when they brought it back for Dynasty. But I just lost another match. But GT is lacking heavily in this game. We need General Rildo, we need Nova Shenron, we need Ice Shenron, we need some of the other Shenrons, we need some of the mini bosses, we need what is that guy? Legic. We need Legic. He was a cool little villain in episode 5 of GT. So GT always gets left behind in these Dragon Ball games, and it sucks because considering the fact that this is Budokai Tenkaichi 4, I think this should have been the first game in the series to start adding, you know, characters that's never been added before in Dragon Ball games. I feel like that would have set it apart from a lot of other Dragon Ball games. So those are things I'm really, really looking forward to. You know, I want to see the single player content, the single player modes get a lot better in this game. I want to see more what if scenarios. I want to see stuff added and expanded upon for episode battle. And I want to see more characters. I want to, not necessarily more characters, I want to see, you know, characters that should have been in this game brought to this game. I want to see like characters like Super Saiyan Bardock and Shempa. Those will be new additions to the Budokai franchise. And I want to see more new additions to the Budokai franchise. You know, I want to see Belmod. If Xenoverse 2 can add Belmod, this game can add Belmod. I want to see Ice Shenron. Nova Shenron was in Budokai Tenkaichi 3. He's not in Sparking Zero yet, but I want to see Ice Shenron make his Tenkaichi debut. What else? I mean, there's a lot of other characters that need to make their Tenkaichi debut. Let's see who we're gonna pick. Let's go with let's go with Blue. No, because we were just playing with Vegeta not too long ago. I'm not really paying attention to the matches. The matches are just we're gonna go with Mini Vegeta and Beerus. I was fighting Beerus earlier and he was really hard to beat, so he might beat me. So anyways, let's talk a little bit about just my history of Dragon Ball. And as I mentioned, you know, I want to experiment with narrating videos in the future. And, you know, with me coming up on 500 subscribers and counting, I want to develop closer connections with all of you guys because it's, you know, if it weren't for all of you guys, I wouldn't be going on 500,000 subscribers. And, you know, as I said plenty of times already in this video, I really appreciate that. So I want to talk about my history as far as Dragon Ball, and I would really love for you guys to, you know, talk about your history in Dragon Ball. You know, how were you introduced to the series? Was it through a game? Was it through anime? What is your favorite game? What is your favorite Dragon Ball series? And so yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. So as I said earlier, I don't mind sharing my age. I'll be 25 this year, so I'm definitely still young. I became a Dragon Ball fan in 2013, and it's so funny. I have an older sister who always loved Dragon Ball. She'll be 28 this year, so she's 3 years older than me. So I'm currently 24 and she's 27. And she's always loved Dragon Ball, and I hated it as a child. I wasn't interested in it. So and you guys are gonna find this really funny how I became a Dragon Ball fan, but I don't know if anyone ever played the Super Smash Bros. Game. Not the one for the Nintendo Switch or for the Wii. I can't remember what console it was for, but the one that used to be able to play it on a computer, and it was, I can't remember the name of the website, but they had characters like Ness, Naruto, Mario, Donkey Kong, and they had Goku on there as well. And I used to play this game long before I became a Dragon Ball fan, but one day I was just playing it on the computer, on the laptop that I had, and I believe I was either fighting as Goku or I chose Goku, and I did the Kamehameha wave with him. And you guys already know how, you know, Sean Shemo is an amazing voice actor when it comes to Goku. So when I did the Kamehameha wave with him on the game, on the Super Smash Bros. Game on the laptop, it was just something about how his voice sounded when he said Kamehameha. And, you know, as I said, I was not a Dragon Ball fan up to this point, but the way his voice sounded, you guys know how, I mean, there's over 1 billion Kamehameha waves that Goku has done in the entire Dragon Ball series, but you guys know how when he's in those, when he's Super Saiyan 3 or 4 or Ultra Instinct, and when he says Kamehameha, how echoing it sounds, and that's kind of how it was on the Super Smash Bros. Game. And it just made me look up top 10 Kamehameha waves on YouTube. Meanwhile, this is all 2013, and I'm probably 11 going on 12 years old. I'm in the 6th grade, and I'm watching top Kamehameha waves on YouTube. I'm about to die again. Yeah, I suck. I'm so distracted. I can't do good at, I'm not good at doing battles, and we're going to restart this fight. I'm not good at doing battles and narrate at the same time. But I remember, you know, looking up top Kamehameha waves on YouTube, and I found the Kamehameha wave that he did to Cell when he blew him to pieces. And I remember being, like I said, either 11 or 12 or 11 going on 12, and I was completely blown away by it. So I remember talking to my sister about it, and as I mentioned, she had already been a Dragon Ball fan long before me, and she just couldn't believe that I was even watching, you know, Dragon Ball scenes on YouTube. and the rest was basically history. In 2013, you know, I don't know if anybody remember, but on Nickelodeon, they started showing a lot of Dragon Ball movies: BoJack Unbound, Cooler's Revenge, Return of Cooler with the Meta Cooler, uh, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, The Wrath of Dragon, Fusion Reborn. And this is how I was expanding my Dragon Ball knowledge, by watching those movies. And I'm also a huge artist. Maybe, you know, since I want to develop a personal connection with all of you guys, maybe I'll share some of my art with the community post as well. But I've been an artist since I've been 5, and it's because of Dragon Ball. It's because of Akira Toriyama's vision that my art has improved since 2013. Because since 2013, that's literally all I draw these days is Dragon Ball. And I consider myself a really good artist. I just wish I had more time to draw like I would like. But so yeah, within those days in 2013, you know, I'm drawing a lot of Dragon Ball characters. I'm learning about the characters, learning about the anime, and that's basically how I became a fan. You know, I was never a fan at first until I literally heard Sean Schimmel's voice as Goku doing a Kamehameha wave on the Super Smash Bros. Game. And it just really interested me. And from there, like I said, I looked up top 10 Kamehameha waves on YouTube. From there, I'm watching all of the movies on Nickelodeon. From there, I'm watching the show. From there, I remember being 13 and getting a PS3 for Christmas. I was 12, and I got a PS3 for Christmas. This is 2013, and my first game was Raging Blast 2. And it was my only Dragon Ball game for so long. It was all I played, man. Like, Raging Blast 2, that's why I was so excited when Sparking Zero got revealed, because obviously Raging Blast 2 is a similar game, has similar game mechanics in the way you play it. So for years, Raging Blast 2 was all I played. And you know, the rest is literally history. I love Dragon Ball. I wouldn't, you know, Dragon Ball makes a huge part of my personality, and you know, I'm thankful for this channel. I'm thankful for this game. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, I would love to see it get better, in many ways. But I guess we just gotta be patient a little bit longer, especially with the new DLC that's coming out. So yeah, anyways, guys, we're probably gonna get ready to end this video. I probably rambled on way too long. I wanted to spend the last bit of the video talking about how I became a Dragon Ball fan, which I'm pretty sure is a lot different than most of you guys. You know, if it wasn't for a simple little Super Smash Bros. Game on the laptop computer, I probably wouldn't be the Dragon Ball fan that I am today. You know, something about the Kamehameha wave that Goku was doing in the Super Smash Bros. Game caught my attention. And it's just funny because, as I said, I was already playing that Super Smash Bros. Game years before I even became a Goku fan. He had already been in the game. You know, I just wasn't interested during those times. So, like I said, all of this was in 2013. So anyways, we all have different stories and stuff like that. And as I said, the point of this video was just to share a little bit of history about myself, talk a little bit about Sparking Zero and what I want to see happen in the future, and what I like about it and don't like about it. And like I said, most importantly, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear, you know, what is your favorite Dragon Ball series? And, you know, obviously mine is Z. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a lot of people's as well. You know, maybe tell me your favorite transformation, your favorite Dragon Ball game, and how you became a Dragon Ball fan. So, yeah, so we're going to get ready to end this video. As I said, guys, I won't do too many videos where I'm narrating things. And with the new single-player Mission 100 mode that they added today, I might narrate that. Still thinking about it, I just don't know yet. But in the meantime, you know, guys, just stay on the lookout for the requested battles. As I mentioned earlier, I always see everybody's requested battles. It's just I post them when I can because I might be busy with, you know, other things and stuff like that. So I just ask that you guys stay patient. I appreciate all the viewers and all the subscribers, and as I mentioned, please share some stuff about you guys in the comments down below, and I will see you guys later.